Ruto is so vulnerable now. He's exposed his underbelly by losing Mount Kenya. Raila is a politician. He can see this. There's no goalkeeper. Why should I give somebody a pass? I see Raila coming back to do his thing. In fact, I always thought even if he got AU, he could still come.
But some people would say, isn't Kindiki Mount Kenya? Isn't Kindiki Murima? Kwani what's Kindiki?
First is associated with the betrayal against the community and the Gachagua. That you can't wish away. They have been used together with Ishungu and the rest to fight Mount Kenya, to deny Mount Kenya their share, to fight Gachagua, who was fighting for the people. He's also perceived as a weak person. Now Ruto can be comfortable with him.
What do you think happens to us during elections? What do you think? Where do we go wrong?
Nothing happens and we don't go wrong. We just do what anybody in our circumstances would do. The people we complain about, we say we have no parliament. 2027, we shall pack that parliament with the same people. The same, not the same names or same faces, but the same caliber.
Characters. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of LNS. My name is Lynn Ngugi and we get to have another thought-provoking conversation together. And let me just start by asking, how are you feeling? I know a lot of things have happened in the country, but as we said, we have to be able to learn and relearn a lot of things that have been taught unto us. My guest today is no stranger. Majority of you have watched him on his YouTube channel. And I was actually telling him before we started this conversation, if we would just listen to some of the things he said before now, I believe the country would be at a better stage. I'll be talking to him about the mood of the country. Where does he think we need to go from here? And also, what are some of the key lessons that we can learn from some of the things that have happened right before our eyes? I'm about to let him introduce himself so that he can be able to walk us through today's conversation. But before I do that, I cannot proceed without telling you thank you for getting us to 1 million subscribers. It's actually 1.1, almost 1.1 million subscribers, and I appreciate that we have done this together and you've taken it upon yourself to be able to enjoy these thought-provoking conversations and also share them across your social media platforms. So I appreciate you, and of course the team that gets to put this work together. Over and over, I've said you get to see me in front of the camera, but it takes an entire team to be able to put this work together. So shukran sana. And now, of course, without further ado, please allow me to let my guest today introduce himself. Sir, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Karibu sana Elenen.
Asante.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
You feeling good?
Yes.
All right. We are about to get deeper into this conversation. But for anyone that is tuning in, maybe for the very first time and they've not come across this face, could you please introduce yourself?
First, thank you for having me. Allow me also to say congratulations for 1.1 million.
Almost.
When I grow up, I want to get there.
No way.
Yeah, we are still crawling.
You are doing great.
My name is Manyora, Herman Manyora. I'm a YouTuber. I operate within the media space. I also do some little teaching at the University of Nairobi.
Yeah.
That is me now. Correct.
That's humbling, the way you say it. You do some little teaching.
Yeah.
That's not what I've experienced from the young people I've met here.
Yes.
But it's an honor to have you on the show. And maybe let me start by asking you, before we rolled, we were talking about something. Kenyans have been ranked as #1 online users in the continent. Actually, I think it's in the entire world. What does that say about us? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Well, on the face of it is good. It is positive. It shows the penetration of network and the world has become a digital space. That means we can do a lot of things with the internet, and that's a good thing. But again, it also means perhaps a lot of the people on phone are idle people. A very serious person may not have as much time as an idle person on phone. So it also be an indicator that perhaps a lot of young people are idle. and spend a lot of time on phone. Idle because they don't have jobs, gainful engagements, but also idle because even those who are employed, where they are employed, there's not much to do because there's not much competition in the country. So that industry in this country is not operating on a competitive basis. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. I'm saying, for example, all you need to do is know somebody in government. Business is government-propelled business. So it's not like if you are in an industry, you must actually compete. No, you get government tender, government jobs, and government connections. So because of that, even those who are employed, they find themselves not having much to do. So they spend time on their phones. Yeah.
All right.
To that extent, it may not be a very positive thing. Again, when you have so many people on the phone, it means in that population, there must be underage people accessing their phones. In developed countries, it's not easy to find young people accessing phones just the way they want. Not even television in the house. I remember Obama saying this. For Maria and Sasha, television during school holidays. Not one. I ask myself, can a Kenyan child live in a house without watching TV? So it means if we have a lot of people online, a good percentage of those must be underage children. And you can imagine what material they're accessing.
Unsupervised.
Yes, unsupervised.
All right. Yeah. Let me ask you a very honest question. If you were to go back, assuming you were in your 30s or in your 40s, yes, would Kenya still be home for you? Would you choose this as your country where you would raise your family, you would want to maybe live your life in this country?
Home is best. They say, I love this country. I think it comes out very clearly. But there many times I ask myself, if I was 40, will I live here? Quite often, unfortunately, I find myself concluding I would leave. If I was 35, 40, 45 maximum, I think I would leave this country. Because to me, it affects me. When I see the way the judiciary is operating, when I see the way politicians, the National Assembly, Senate, when I look at the ministries and the state departments and how they are run, it affects me so much. I feel if I was young, I would just go to a country. You know, in another country, I wouldn't care how it's being run. Even if it is Zimbabwe. I wouldn't care how it's being run. It's not my country. So long as I'm in peace. You get to feel, and I'm not alone. I know I interact a lot with my viewers and followers and fans from the diaspora. I know for a fact a number of people believing Raila was winning 2022 planned to leave. Some of them had already taken steps to come back to Kenya. They had to abandon those plans. So I'm not alone. Many people, you talk to somebody who says, I've been in America for 25, 30 years. I've never experienced a blackout. For the 30 years I've been there. Then you come back to a country like this. What is bad is not that we can't experience these challenges. It is because these are things we can sort out very easily. And we have the resources. Sometimes it makes you, it pains you so much to see children going to school barefoot. Knowing as it were, some of the toilets, the pit latrines are maggot filled, and you can imagine children putting there. And you know there's money for that. You can make life better. So, in short, experiencing these things can cause depression. And therefore, at times I feel if I was young, I would have left.
Yeah.
And this is very honest from my heart. If I was a young person, I would leave. I would live with my young family and we go somewhere.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care even where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good that you've mentioned the judiciary is one of the things that's wrong with this country. I was actually watching one of your analyses and you said a lot of people feel that the judiciary has actually failed us as Kenyans. Why do you feel so? And what's next for us? If we can't trust the judiciary, if we can't trust the lawyers we have, what's next for us as a country, and what made you say that?
You see, if you have a case in court or if you interact with the court system, it's just a game. Lawyers, I've been in court this morning virtually. Very casually journeying. Oh, I was in a funeral, I was bereaved, you what, so and so is not here. Frankly speaking, I had problems with the filing. So casually. They are treating matters that affect human beings so casually. I have a case of 1996, it is still court, civil case. I had an accident. I took somebody to court, 2018, 2019. The case was concluded this year. If you read the judgment, you just laugh. And it still has to go through many stages for me to be paid a little. But that's not the problem. The problem is here. If you went to industrial area, and I think I would recommend you go because that's your line. These days they are more liberal. You go there. There are people there who have been there for years upon years. In remand prison, their cases have not been heard. There are people waiting for appeal. One of the lawyers said why we cannot trust the appeal to, why we can't wait for the appeal for Kindiki to be sworn in. The average duration for a case in the Court of Appeal is 4 to 5 years. A lawyer was telling Kenyans that. So if you look at how people would be suffering in industrial area, you can do 10 years only to be found free. And the government is not good at compensating people. You can imagine that kind of. So the way the judiciary conducts its business, I mean, if I was made the Chief Justice and I'm not a lawyer, all those cases I will finish them. I'm not a lawyer. I was trying to engage one of their presidents. They like calling themselves president. I tell them you should be chairman. Revert to chairman. The president is too much for you. I was, I think, on JKL. And I said, look, wacha kuongea kizungu mingi hapa. Can you tell me practical steps you would take as LSK to help the judiciary and the people of this country find a way of processing cases quickly? And I gave an example. If you go to hospital, at the first instance, you don't go and see a consultant, surely. You see, you are clerked through. You are taken through, there are people who take your pressure. Is it a triad, whatever they call it? Yeah, triad. And then in most hospitals in this country, you'll see a clinical officer. Okay? In a dispensary, women see a nurse. Then, even in the UK, you see a general practitioner, what we call here, I think, MOH. Only much later would you see a consultant. So there are so many things that are in court that can be clerked off by judicial staff without even going to the bench. Some of them are sheer contradictions. You get it? I remember there was a case of Jackson Angaina, I think, about his land. And he said he had discovered people have just invaded his land. He was asking the court to give orders to remove those people. There was a very good magistrate or judge many years ago. He just said, the registrar of the court organized for transport to Nenda huko. Let's go. The guy was shocked. Then he was asked you're saying this land was taken the other day, but these houses are old. Whose coffee is this? These guys had planted coffee. Whose trees are these? These are not things that have taken place in a year. These are things that have taken place over many years. So courts can be proactive, for example. And the clerk people, I have a case currently running now. It was there last week where I think it's the contempt case. It was mentioned last week. Application was made the other week, I think last week again. Then today. Now I hear it will be on 6th. Now listen. Somebody is being cited for contempt because he's reading the orders of the court in a certain way. His reading of the court makes him believe we are in contempt. The court is taking time, mention. Why can't the court just tell us this is what we meant in the order? You see what I'm talking about? But those are minor technical issues. But the decisions that come from our courts, aside from the delay and some very absurd ways of doing things, some of the decisions, even a small kid cannot see them as sensible. And that's why it's very sad, because if you look at the architecture of our Constitution, you get to realize that the judiciary has a very special place, as indeed it is in many other countries. So when the judiciary doesn't inspire confidence, then we are heading the very wrong direction. And I keep telling Kenyans, when you have some little time, do a little reading. Even if you are a judge, do a little reading. Look at how the protective system among the Japanese, the protective warriors, how they emerged. Look at the mafia. How did the mafia, what are the origins of the mafia? In other words, people sit somewhere and they see lawyers have become very smart. Everybody is smart. So for a human being to get justice unless somebody doesn't get, a certain class of people emerge to give justice to those who can't get justice in the normal way. We don't want to get in that direction. We don't want to get to a point where if you and I have differences, we don't go to court. I just take a panga and cut you. Because the case will be in court like forever. My mother had a case in court when I was in, I think, high school or primary school. She died. I took over. It is still in court.
Oh, whoa.
So, in short, our judiciary leaves a lot of disaster. And if we are going to change our constitution, one of the places we are going to take time in that journey of having a national conversation around governance and what kind of charter we need, the judiciary. We will stop hapo tutakaka hapo kidogo. We will ask a lot of questions. Do we need the Supreme Court? Because the Supreme Court now has just become another appellant level. That wasn't the design. It wasn't like if you lose at the High Court, you go to a Court of Appeal, then you go to the Supreme Court. No. The Supreme Court had much bigger role envisioned by those who created the Constitution, not just another appeal level. Yeah.
But the elephant in the room, Gachagua is out, Kindiki is in.
Correct.
First, what do you think about Kindiki?
As a person,
Yeah.
he's a good person. He's a young man, educated, intelligent. And I have no doubt in my mind, given a job even higher than the one he has, he can do. I have no doubt in my mind. Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people would find that definition insane, considering during the protest, he has been termed as one of the people who watched a lot of Gen Zs die? He was there, he was in position, but a lot of people say he's guilty of watching kids being massacred and doing nothing about it. Do you think the way you've defined him and his character go hand in hand?
You know, I've said he's young. We need young leaders.
Yes.
He's educated. It's good to be educated. He's eloquent. He can speak well. Given a task, he can perform. So even what you are saying, it was a task, and
So
he
he
performed it well.
performed.
Yeah. As interior CS, he did the job of an interior CS, which means even if it means unleashing the police to go and do their thing in the streets. So he did the job. I'm saying he would do the same job as a president. Because when you ask me whether he can do the job, I'm operating within what is normal.
In our country.
Yes, it's normal. When you become president of this country, we don't expect you to do anything different. But if you're asking me, what's your idea of somebody who can take this country to a level where you will not even contemplate this nonsense of saying you can leave this country? What kind of person do you have in mind? Would he fit that? Then certainly not.
He wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't. I'm looking at somebody who can change this country. That certainly would not be the one.
Isn't it sad that he wouldn't fit what you think would be okay for a vice president, but he's now the vice president? Isn't it sad for our nation? Or what do you think we deserve what we are getting as a country?
I can just sum it up and say it is politics. Politics will always come with those kind of things. Yeah. And politics is highly contextualized, highly localized. So this is the kind of leaders you'll find in this country. Even if you brought good ones, people have laughed and say, before Obama became president, since he's a Kenyan, and according to our constitution, he's a citizen automatic. It's son to a Kenyan, okay? So if you wanted to be a citizen, it's automatic. And these days, since we allow dual citizenship, we can just walk in Kenya tomorrow and he's a citizen. So people have joked and said, if he stood to be president, leave alone president, even MP for a leg or Ugenya, would he get? He would not have gotten.
No.
Maybe now that he became president, now that can change a bit. But even presidents he can't get. He may be an MP in the local area. So people get these people because that is the environment in which we operate. These are the people we have. I remember there's a judge who was accused of taking bribes. He was called Tanui or something, because he went through the tribunal.
Yes.
Justice Tanui or somebody in the Supreme Court. Then the Grand Mullah, Grand Mullah, he was asked Grand Mullah, you were very vocal during the interview. How could you have given this man the job? But Grand Mullah said, these are the people you gave us. These are the people you gave us. I cannot bring another person. These are the people you gave us. And from the people you gave us, we gave you this one.
And now I'm trying to ask myself,
Yes.
So who decides the kind of people we get? Because if I was to do a quick survey and ask Kenyans,
Yes.
did they want Kindiki as their VP, I'm sure the results would be a bit conflicting.
Yes.
Or there would be a mixed up on results, right? So which makes me now ask as a citizen, do we get the leaders we deserve, or are those leaders elected for us by other? First, we were
It's a
told on the
combination
show.
of many things. One, naturally, people say people get the leaders they deserve. And I think by that they mean, or maybe they underlook the fact that conditions are such that we can only see things in a certain way. People, we've been conditioned. We've been made to believe that the world can only look this way and that things can only work in this manner. So, if you look at the Kenyan context, it's very difficult to make a rational judgment during an election because of the factors, sometimes most of them beyond our control, so that even educated people become very primordial in their behavior.
That's true.
During an election. And I've always said he's an engineer when they go to vote. The engineer is lost, the Kikuyu is there now.
True.
That wonderful nurse is not the nurse who knows how to take, she's now a Luo. That professor is not a professor, it's at Rukana. So if highly educated people have been conditioned to work like that, what do you expect of the majority of the voters who have been impoverished? They have been dehumanized and debased. How else would you expect people from Kibra celebrating, dancing with uniform T-shirts and carrying placards to vote in people from Karen? Would that be really normal?
Whoa.
Would a rational human being do that?
No.
That's how it is. So that's why it's not easy for society, for countries to change in the so-called normal ways. Through elections, 5 years, then you get Ruto, and after that you get Kindiki, then Musalia Mudavadi, 2039 or 2037. That process cannot produce somebody who can change society. So sometimes either through a wave, some euphoria, some wave, somebody who under normal circumstances would not have been elected because of the factors that make it difficult for people outside that club to be elected. Or as very often the case, some kind of revolution that then brings a person not through the normal process who can now then transform society. And many countries have changed in that direction. Yeah. That's why military coups were very common, They're very common because the sort of nonsense you see happening, it cannot change through an election. But the same people will come back. Even the one you think is good, he comes back, he joins the rest. He realizes to survive, you are better off with those guys than the people from Kibra. Yeah.
And you got me where we are in the slums with placards celebrating leaders who live in Karen.
Yes.
I think that should hit everyone's mind. What do you think happens to us during elections? What do you think? Where do we go wrong?
Nothing happens and we don't go wrong. We just do what anybody in our circumstances would do. Anybody in our circumstances would do the same. So that the people we complain about, we say we have no parliament. 2027, we shall pack that parliament with the same people. The same, not the same names or same faces, but the same caliber.
Characters.
Matiang'i told us 40% wash, blah, 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 blah. And it turned out that way. So in 2027, under normal circumstances, the same people will be there. But sometimes a society or people get to a point where they are so pressed, the problems are so pronounced, they open their eyes. So that in 2027 or 2032, I can see some hope for this country. That the challenges are too many, the problems so acute. Simple things like just food. Businesses are closing in this country, and they have been closing. A shilling has become very rare in this country. This problem, the magnitude of these problems, can force Kenyans to open their eyes. And that explains why the Gen Z revolution was what it was. It was not just young people rioting in the streets. It was an expression of what really people are experiencing by a group of people who, on the basis of their age, have the energy, the advantage, and the recklessness to do certain things which throughout history only young people do. You get it? Mm-hmm. In my thinking, it would have been an eye-opener to those in government that this is a potential danger. But I think they chose not to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they are still. Do you think they are still choosing not to see it that way?
Of course. When you are there, when you are in politics, when you get power, you think you can be clever and engage in small little clever tricks. And then you build, it gets to impunity. And once impunity sets in, you think you are a god. Nothing matters. Even things you would have corrected, you can't correct because impunity can't allow you to do that. You think everybody is a fool except you. Mm-hmm. So that this happens not in Kenya alone, but in many other places where impunity rules. Common sense is thrown out of the window. Even things a kid can see.
Yeah.
People think they are too clever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where the problem is. So if you look at societies or countries, whenever people have destroyed that which they have built for many years, when people sit down, they ask very hard questions. How did we get here? How come we didn't see this? Because countries don't collapse because of big things. They're just small things that people overlook. Because impunity is guiding what people are doing. Then they think they are clever. The things they should do, they don't do. Things they shouldn't do, they do. Things they don't even... Look at our problem with the Gen Zs. The problem the Gen Zs brought on. It wasn't their problem. It's just normal things happen in this country. If Kenyans were to address those issues, what will be the cost? Very little. Because the things even the Gen Zs were asking the president to do, they would cost the president nothing. No money, not much money is involved in those things. There are no political risks. Because there are countries where the challenges you face to make a decision on an issue means you will have to set aside 10% of the national budget to address that particular issue. Mm-hmm. Maybe an issue of inequality, an issue of historical discrimination, an issue of addressing imbalances in development in our country. They are big issues and they are very clear in many countries. So you will avoid because the resources required to address that problem are not a joke. Sometimes the political risk let's be practical. If when it was demanded of the president that he dissolves parliament, then he dissolves his cabinet and come up with a totally new cabinet. What was the risk there? Very minimal political risk. Now, the ones he left out, Kina Lynn Ngugi, I don't know, I can't remember them. What has happened to him? Kenyans have forgotten. So there wasn't much political risk. But in other situations, it might be you touch somebody like this and your government crumbles. So you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because let's say the UK, Italy, these parliamentary systems, where you do not have a majority to run government. So you bring in a partner to beef up your numbers to be able to run government. Now you are caught up in a situation where you are being told to let go of a partner like that. It is like saying now your government will collapse. We were not in that kind of situation. So there wasn't much financial challenge. There wasn't much political risk in doing the right things. And as you can see, we decided to play clever and go around things. Yeah.
And that's why we are where we are right now.
That's why we are.
Yeah. The president the other day said his government is actually performing. It's the negativity of some people that is spreading that makes people believe that his government is actually not performing. Do you think that's the case? Can you see a performing government?
You can't tell stories about hunger. You are either hungry or Mashiba. You can't tell people the government is doing well, the economy is doing well. You don't need to say it. You just need to be a normal Kenyan, to go to town, the places we used to eat. There are places we like fresh food. You go there if you want to enjoy your meal, you go at 11. By lunchtime, you queue, and where you sit, if you don't take care, your food will go in somebody's mouth. There were joints like those in town.
True.
Matatus, anyway, any stage. There are certain times you would wait for an hour because in a pita zimeja.
True.
Now, whatever it is, it's a no-brainer. The economy is not doing well. The people you are saying you are talking to have children in the houses. They don't have jobs and they've gone to school. This is not something over which you can tell stories. You can't philosophize about food. No, it's just a reality that there's a problem. That's not to say we should blame the president or the government, but to say there is a problem. Denying that there is a problem is not the way to go. You don't help. Say there are problems. Some of these problems are global. And that's why we blame the communication team of government. There are some things they can explain away. Some of the challenges are actually global. Some of the challenges are because of habits. We are so used to doing things in certain ways that when new ways come, we are not easy to embrace them.
Change.
So we are suffering because if we had embraced change, it would have been. Even the people are suffering because of government trying to come up with taxation measures, strategies of digitally tapping into the tax market, that kind of thing. They are not entirely bad things. People hearing me say this, they'll think today they have given me something. They know they are yet to give me something. One, this country will not create jobs in a manner it should create jobs unless we formalize the informal sectors. Mm-hmm. So formalizing informal sectors also means formalizing jobs. So that every job in the country should be a formal job. Hata kazi ya mjengo, it should be formal. You should be entitled to medical, you should live, you should save, you should have social protection, you should go on leave. Mm-hmm. Now, people may complain, employers may complain wanafatra, but there are benefits that attendant to that. So even as the government tries to get people into paying taxes, tax brackets, by making sure the mobile phones are part of everything, it is just the government doesn't know how to communicate it. And they don't know how to go about it. They are starting climbing a tree from the top or cutting a tree from the top. You start from down. So they need to, for example, in matters of tax, to begin with civic education. Then literacy, followed by literacy. Let the people be literate. Let every business person know the benefit of keeping your books, the benefit of banking, the benefit of doing your transactions formally, because only then can you access a loan. Because when you want a loan, they want your records.
Yes.
You don't have records.
Yes.
So once the public is buys into the idea, they see the benefits. Now you naturally begin to get taxes from them.
When they see the benefits.
Yes. So some of the things, therefore, why Kenyans are suffering and why they are rejecting things like the president say, the government itself has failed in terms of civic education, has failed in terms of making people understand. They have failed in terms of communicating some of these. Some of these things are benefit. Even what Kuria was saying about contract, everybody was mad. But the truth is, where in the world do people get employed on permanent and pensionable terms? That's a dead horse. People are given terms, specific, with clear targets. You're given a job for a year or 2 years or 3. There are collective targets for the whole organization, for a department, for a section, for an individual.
The KPIs.
Yeah, everybody. And we all know what we are trying to deliver. And if we do that, it will be evident. There's no way somebody will come to your department and want to get rid of one of your staff when you have met your target 3 times over. So it's a question of how does government talk to its people. Yeah.
Another thing, I love that you've said, of course, I believe in public participation, but does it count in this country? We saw a site crash the other day when citizens were submitting what they believe is their opinion on the 7-year term. But I've seen public participation in so many other cases, but then the court upholds, say this was followed. But a lot of Kenyans tend to believe, yes, there is public participation, but is it really public participation?
Well, there are many things you can say about it. First of all, it doesn't serve any purpose. Because the manner in which it is conducted, it cannot yield anything serious. Obviously, we know that.
Yeah.
There are no structures for conducting public participation. And for processing the outcome of those public participation forum, how do you process what people have said, the interactions? Because it's not a referendum. Like I saw some people in parliament saying 65% said Gachagua should go. It's not a referendum. It's not no, yes. No, it's about citizens engaging on this matter. And you must have a way of constructively putting them together to engage, and a way of processing what the whole engagement, and then putting it in a digestible manner. So to that extent, doesn't make sense. Secondly, even where it has become very clear that 99.99% of Kenyans don't want housing levy, it has gone through anyway. Okay? But at a much more serious level, almost philosophical, I agreed with Moi when he said, you want people to talk about the constitution, there's no problem. But you want to bring people from the villages to come to Nairobi. But Wanjiku has already done that. That's how Wanjiku word started. Wanjiku has sent the MP there to talk for Wanjiku. You are coming back to Wanjiku. So if you look at it from that perspective, you begin to see, given that this public participation don't yield much. First of all, they are not well organized, they are not structured. Secondly, they are always ignored. Then you ask, is it worth it? Why don't we then go to the philosophical principle of representation? That in our democracy, you send people to speak for you. Why would they come back to you? So it means, therefore, that Kenyans must be told that vote you are casting for your MCA is very important. Today, you are just thinking is your clan or your tribesman, you are making an MP or whatever. But your grandchild will be affected by that one vote you are giving today. So people, this is the kind of thing I think people should to be able to know. So that We have serious representatives, and then we don't have to go back to people. No. We need serious representatives. When the impeachment of Gachagua came, we should have just rest assured that one confused person has brought a motion against Gachagua. We trust Senate and we trust National Assembly. They will look at this thing and they will dismiss it. Because the way it was something to be dismissed if we had a parliament. And next time, there is a serious impeachment motion. We know that parliament is serious enough to see this man cannot continue being the president and they will impeach him. So then it means that the voter must then in future know that once you vote, you surrender your rights. Abana kurukaruka hapa, public participation, forget about it. That man or woman you send there is going to speak for you. So you had better choose rights.
Choose wisely.
Correct.
And speaking of choosing wisely, I saw a conversation today on X and someone was saying, considering Raila Odinga is not getting the support he thought he would get on this AU chairmanship, right? Where does this leave his relationship with Ruto?
I wouldn't tell because when they started, I wasn't there. How they agreed, I don't know.
Yes.
Whether he'll be annoyed. But assuming it was just a gentleman's agreement, that those things people talk about, someone has been bought or what, are not true. If it is just that I'll support you, because this country is going astray. We are about to lose our country, and therefore, as Raila Odinga, I'll support you. So that we can steady the ship the way I assisted Uhuru, and people will fight another day into it. If it is just that, I see Raila coming back to do his thing. A jig here, a jig there, shake leg here. Unless there's something we don't know. If it is just a gentleman agreement he was assisting Ruto for, and there's nothing behind that agreement, and he doesn't get AU. In fact, I always thought even if he got AU, he could still come. Because you see, Lynn.
Yes.
Ruto is so vulnerable now. He's exposed his underbelly by losing Mt.Kenya. Raila is a politician. He can see this. There's no goalkeeper. Why should I give somebody a pass? That's the challenge today. But politics being what it is. And Raila is also, he's good at this game. He's been at it for a long time. He may also make a decision that it's in the interest of the country. Because I've already supported Ruto as a gentleman, let me see him through. Whether he was given anything or not. Because those are things people are saying. But the natural thing I would expect, the normal thing, would be he will come back and do his thing and run again. Yes.
You said Ruto is vulnerable. He's lost Mt.Kenya. But some people would say, isn't Kindiki Mt.Kenya? Isn't Kindiki Murima? Kwani what's Kindiki? Isn't he Mt.Kenya? If he lost Gachagua for a replacement of another person in Mt.Kenya, what are we not seeing here?
You know, anybody who has a Kenyan passport or citizenship ID is a Kenyan.
Yes.
But you and I will agree that the sovereign Kenyan, there's the concept of sovereign citizen. Not all of us who call ourselves we are citizens. This is a sovereign citizen. Watch a story mrefu. Americans are very clear about if you want to run for president. Don't say I became an American last year. No, they will not make you president. So the sovereign Mt.Kenya citizen, Kindiki may have a problem. First is associated with the betrayal against the community and the Gachagua. That you can't wish away. He may change it. There's time to change that. But the perception today, they have been used together with Ishungwa and the rest to fight Mt.Kenya, to deny Mt.Kenya their share, to fight Gachagua who was fighting for the people. He's also perceived as a weak person. Now Ruto can be comfortable with him. Gachagua talked of a control freak. You know, that's how he's viewed by a majority of the people. And you can say that the divide between Mt.Kenya East and Mt.Kenya West. He's from Mt.Kenya East. Mt.Kenya West is the populace and it carries the day. It's like Ohio and Pennsylvania. Yes. They matter in where Ohio goes, so goes the nation. Yeah. So the West is more populous, more advanced than anything else you can say. They have produced all those presidents, Kenyatta, Kibaki, and stuff like that. So when you go to East, he also comes from the tiny Daraka. And he must be aware, and anybody's aware of this. Even the Meru, they don't consider Daraka as Meru enough. This is Kenya. Even me, where I come from, I have my own challenges. People even think I'm a Luo. If I stand for elections, one of the biggest challenges the Luyas will say I'm a Luo. These are things you can't run away because this is our country. In fact, the Merus, if a Meru daughter is married in Daraka, they say, this is now a challenge. They say hunger has gone to patch in Daraka. What am I saying? I'm saying these things in the politics come to play. How central are you? How sovereign are you in Mount Kenya? But again, this is politics. It depends on how he navigates. I am sure it's within his reach and his power to change all these perceptions and how people behind him, he can get accepted by the entire mountain. I'm not ruling it out. I know it's difficult. Some people use the word impossible. Let me just use the word difficult. I know what sort of task it will be for him to have the mountain embrace him. But I know it's within reach. It's possible, challenging, difficult, but it's a possibility. Yeah.
All right. Talking of Gachagua, Kindiki aside, talking of Gachagua, do you think he got what he deserved? Or do you think, as some people would say, Ruto knew what game he was playing all along?
It has come too fast and too vicious to be normal. Too fast, too vicious. And you can see the speed at which things are being processed. Too fast to mean just a year, and just a year, that's too soon. I think the word is too soon. Too soon. Too vicious. You can see how vicious the attack on Gachagua was. You can see the speed at which the impeachment was being processed. You can see the speed at which Gazette notices were following each other at night and morning. Pa, 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 pa. That's not normal. And therefore, it is quite possible that this is a game Ruto was playing. I think he got outmaneuvered in terms of Gachagua. And he told Kindiki, tutapanga hii maneno. It's not natural. Because I don't think it can be because Gachagua has done anything. What is this politicians can't do? Gachagua scheming with some people to want to take Ruto's job. That's normal in politics. If he's maybe recorded by some crook planning that these Gen Z waenda rakaraka tuchukue hiki, that's normal in politics. It cannot create that kind of viciousness because it's not unexpected in politics. It's not unexpected that even the prince may wish the father dead so that they may become king. Is it unexpected? No. So you won't like it. You would even hate it. You will change your views about somebody, but it will not lead to the things we've seen in the past 1 month or so. No, there must be a game behind all this. And I would suspect Ruto must have known he would remove Kindiki at some point. Gachagua at some point. Or, there's also likely that, when Gachagua took over, there are so many memes, so many things people said about him, how he was dressing, how he was eating mushere, and I think let us agree everybody thought Gachagua was a fool. But it didn't take 6 months for people to know Gachagua was not the fool they thought. Sidikweli. Maybe even Ruto was with us when we thought Gachagua won't go far. Maybe he was like all of us.
So even you thought so?
Yeah, later he saw this guy here can even do things to me. By 2027, this guy can finish me. Because all it will take is Gachagua to wait until 2026 towards the end. Nachomoke. Ruto is gone. Because atachomoka na mlima yote. and force a runoff. And Ruto will be number 3. Then he will be in a runoff with maybe Raila or Kalonzo or someone, and he will beat him. Or waende like that, achomoke, then towards the end, I say, okay, wacha tutoe Ruto tu. Waende, I mean, I deputize you, game shot. So maybe, let's also not blame Ruto. Because there are things he knows we don't know. But this is politics. What I'm saying is, Ruto should not have been surprised by anything he learned Gachagua had done, if he did anything, that is. But that's normal in politics, including the prince poisoning the father to become king. Deputies are always coveting the seat of the president. They are always, whenever they pray in church, quietly say, why can't this guy die, I become president? That is normal. If you didn't see it that way, then there must be something wrong with you. If you are the president or the governor, you must know that you are governor. If let's say you are a governor, you are involved in an accident. What do you think that your deputy is thinking before even they get to know how serious you are? Anafikiria nini kwa kichwa yake?
Kuwa hapo.
Kazi imepatikana tayari. Namna gani? Saka mzee kaende. That is human nature.
Yeah.
And therefore, the reaction from Ruto, if the stories we hear are true, are in that direction, the reaction I consider is out of place. Because this is within the space of what you can call normal or ordinary. These things can happen. So you may just live with him for the next 5 years knowing he's not the man you thought. But how vicious the attack was, sometimes I don't know. Maybe there's things we don't know. But in the fullness of time, we shall get to know. These things have a way of coming out.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of talk has been going on, and I know to so many people 207, 208 is a very sensitive area.
Yes.
But there've been talks of, regrouping, tribal regrouping here and there, people doing this. But what do you think?
It will be very unfortunate. For those of us who witnessed what went on in 2008, 2007, we almost lost our country. I think we are just lucky.
Yes.
I think just God.
Just lucky, actually.
Because
just God.
What took Rwanda down was not more serious than what could have taken us down. I'm telling you, what has taken other countries down wasn't much more serious than what we saw. I saw it with my eyes. So it's God, and we must thank God for that. It will therefore be very unfortunate, extremely unfortunate, if by design, anybody in this country or a group of people in this country would want to lead us in that direction. It would be completely unfortunate. It's completely unfortunate.
I agree.
And that's why, after the determination of removing the conservatory orders, allowing Kindiki to be sworn in, Hamino spoke in court. And I want Kenyans to go and play that beat when Hamino, I was in Voi, at least I was listening on my phone, coming back to Nairobi, I was in Voi. Actually, we were just dropping somebody at the SCGR station in Voi. When Hamino was speaking, he told the bench, it is important to understand society. It is important to understand this country. The nuances that you must capture when you are making a decision, he didn't seem to see them. Because doing things that we did with this impeachment and in the manner in which we did them can easily take us to those unfortunate days. The only thing is that we are a prayerful nation and Kenyans are resilient people. They have gone through big calamities and they have withstood this. They are resilient. But it is also equally true that we must not tempt fate. No. We should never tempt fate. God has been on our side so many times. He could get tired. Yeah, we could be doing these things like Chebe says in one of his books. When you are chi, your personal God is on safari. There will be nobody to protect you. God could get tired of us. He saved us so many times. And therefore, that's why some of us were saying, and people didn't understand us, when we said, removing Gachagua is a political process. Politicians, go ahead, with your bad manners, remove him. You are good at backstabbing. You have no permanent friends. Somebody helps you today, tomorrow is your enemy. The person who was almost killing you yesterday is the one you are laughing with, drinking and dying. That's fine. That's your line.
Mm-hmm.
But when you bring an impeachment against a Kenyan, elected by Kenyans, let Kenyans see serious reasons for doing so, number one. And number two, Kenyans gave themselves a constitution at a great cost. Lives were lost, properties were restored, careers were finished, families were broken. And there are certain things that are put in that constitution. And then the laws of this country. Follow the constitution even as you engage in your bad manners. When a deputy elected by people is being removed, let the process be clear. Let us see that you are serious. You are giving such an issue the seriousness it deserves. Let Kenyans not witness juvenile excitement in the National Assembly as they are processing such a serious issue. So I think I want Kenyans to listen to what Kamino was telling those judges. It's important. It's not just a matter of ruling, making judgment or ruling. No. Some of the things we do today can come to haunt us tomorrow. Yeah.
As we wind up then,
Yes.
What's next? I mean, IMF is back to giving us loans.
Yes.
The finance bill was upheld.
Yes.
So many things that Kenyans said were wrong and they needed changes on.
Yeah.
Nothing is happening. I know a lot of people feel a bit discouraged by what's going on in our country.
Yes.
From where you are sitting, what would you advise we as the citizens do next?
For every challenge, there is always a way out. Quite often, there's a choice between doing what is easy, simple, and good for everybody, and trying to do things that are in a very complicated matter, complex, introducing complications where none exist, toying around with risks, gambling. The easier thing would be for the leadership of this country just to listen to the people and stop being clever and just do the little things that Kenyans expect them to do. You can't do everything, but at least let people see you, understand them, you feel them. That creates hope.
You relate.
Hope means we can always believe that tomorrow will be a better day. That is a simple route. It's on the right. You can use the one on the left, which politicians like, and which always destroys nations and countries and kingdoms. Because you think you are clever. Because when the hunger can be borne no more, when all the children are not going to school, and those who go to school are learning in miserable conditions, and those who manage to get university education are all in the house, there's no job. And the taxes are coming fast and furious. I looked at my payslip. I didn't know shift had started.
How is that going, by the way?
I saw shift, I saw housing, I didn't know. Somebody told me, maybe I don't look at my payslip because I earn so little, I never look at it.
You?
I never look at my payslip. So I quickly went on my email.
Yes.
Shift is already there. 2.75% of somebody's salary. That's not a joke. On top of the many things. So cumulatively, we are creating situations that could erupt when people can bear it no more. They spill over into the streets. The truth is always there. There is no winner. There has never been a winner.
Just casualties.
Yeah, never. There's never a winner. Never. I've read and I'm a student of history. I'm not an historian, but I'm a student of history. I've never seen where there is a winner. When you allow things to get to the point where then there's anarchy in the country. Even where a revolution destroys and then builds, where revolutions have succeeded, you must count the casualties. And then you wonder, was it worth it? If you measure the success of a revolution, even those that have transformed societies like Russia, Cuba, what have you, but look at the loss in human life. The accumulated capital that has been destroyed. What has taken people years to build is all gone. You cannot then stand up and say, we benefited from this revolution. You can't say that. And therefore, whenever a country gets into a state of anarchy, they never can be a winner, never. We are all losers. And the pain of going through a revolution cannot be compensated by whatever things that people later call success of the revolution. No, never. So it's always good to go to the right. Do the simple things that society is requiring. This country is just looking for simple solutions. Like constituting a good government. What does it cost you to constitute a good government?
Nothing.
Men and women who can think through the problems we have to create jobs for these young men. As I was saying in one of my videos recently, if in the next 10 years things go the way they are going, out of every 10 people working in Nairobi, 8 will not be having jobs, or 7. Can you be safe in that city? A city where out of every 10, 7, 8 people don't have jobs. And they are young, energetic, educated, with all the energy. No job, no future, no hope. How can you enjoy the little you have?
You can't.
That's how bad it can be. But we continue to pray. Those of you who are prayerful, you should pray for this country. But we also continue, like you said when we started. You said if people are listening to some of the things we are saying, not all of it, just some little wisdom, some little counsel from what people like I and others say. We can always change the course of because the trajectory is not good, doesn't look good. I always believed once Raila came to work with Ruto should feel safe enough now to do just good things. Because there's no challenge. We still pray for him. Good.
Beautiful. Thank you so much
Thank you.
again for taking your time. A lot of food for thought, especially on your last statement. There are no winners. There are no winners, just casualties. And I hope we can be able to take that home with us. Would really love to hear your feedback on the comment section. As I said when I started this conversation, there is a lot that this man says, and I know we can't put it together in one video. So go check out his YouTube channel. There are a lot of thought-provoking conversations that you can be able to follow there. And also, if there's anything you can't be able to tell me on the comment section, our email is very open, info@lnn.digital. While you are at it, let me know what other conversations do you think we should be able to have on this platform. Make sure to listen to Senior Counsel Hamino. I know what our guest is talking about, and I believe that's something that all of us need to be able to listen to. Thank you so much for tuning in to my incredible team that gets to put this work together. It's been quite the day, but as always, we must be active participants of this work if we are going to see change. Sinisawa. Catch you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Bye-bye.